Mikhael, Mas Philem. The text discusses various spiritual beliefs and practices, particularly among the Bakongo people. It mentions different types of spirits like the Bisimbi, Nkizi, Nkida, and others. It also touches upon the concept of Nzambi Mpungu. The spirits. The name of these spirits undoubtedly comes from the verb simbu, to attack. They dwell by the water or in the field, and depending on their habitat, they are called Bisimbi B. Masa or Bisimbi being sick. Similarly, the Nkizi they animate or inhabit are called Nkizi Miniasa or Nkizi Minsik. Here is a formula of exorcism that the elders recite every evening outside the village when one of their relatives is in danger of death. They are dry on the banda, dry on the field, the metal of the mass, the metal of the nsek. These are the old, luyenda on the mass, all usum bidi mbifo, keambula. The Kisimbi of the waters preferably resides near sources, ponds, and streams. Some sources are even considered the domain of a Kisimbi. No one can take water from them or approach them, except the Nganga, and when the latter looks for materials in the vicinity for his Nkizi, stones, tree roots, or leaves of aquatic plants, he takes care to crumple between his fingers leaves of lemba to appease the Kisimbi. The Bisimbi huddle under stones and roots. If trodden upon, they seize the imprudent and afflict them with illnesses, tumors, pustules, internal pains, etc. The Nganga Ndambo or diviner has among his attributions to indicate the Nkizi that will need to be invoked to appease the Kisimbi and heal the ailment. The Bisimbi and Bankida are often confused among themselves by the people. Even the elders, the wise men, do not always know how to draw a clear line of demarcation between these two kinds of spirits. Thus, I have noted contradictory information about three Nkizi called Nkizi Misambanzi, Nkizi who govern and possess the region. The three spirits animating these Nkizi are Lembu who inhabits water, Talula who lives on the ground, and Zenzi who lodges in trees. According to some of my informants, these are three Bisimbi. According to others, three Nkida. Likewise, it is said of the Nkizi Kainjol that he is a Nkizi Nsi, that is to say, a Nkisi of the earth. However, he would be closely related to the Nzadi, or Nkisi River. Other spirits. The spirits mentioned so far are the best known. Each has its characteristics and popular beliefs. There are others, however, of which only vague traces remain. Thus, we speak of Kiniumba, Kinkindabidi, Ngwaya, kinds of revenants sometimes depicted as monsters, sometimes as simple Matibo or Bisimbi. In fetishism, they do not play any role, at least as far as I have been able to ascertain. Among the Bakongo of Longo and San Salvador, there is a belief in a sort of Satan or demon, Ngadi Mpemba. Dapper already speaks of this. One sees, in these regions, he writes, birds similar to owls which the blacks call Kari Mpemba, which means devil. Their sight is for the natives a bad omen. Whatever the origin of the word devil, it has for Dapper the meaning of evil spirit. Among the Bakongo of the Nkisi region, the name Nkadi Mpemba does not exist as a designation for an owl, but designates a mysterious being. I have noted the riddle, Nza, Ene, and a Yit Kunan Senga. Come near the Nsenga tree, whose answer is Abu Nkadi Mpemba. It is Nkadi Mpemba. None of my interlocutors could give me the exact meaning. All we know is that the Nsenga is closely related to the Nkisi and the spirits. A proverb says, Tan Kento, Tan Nkadi Mpemba. Tell it to your wife, you tell it to Nkadi Mpemba. The meaning is certainly, there is no better way to disclose a secret than to confide it to your wife. It is impossible for me to find a more complete explanation. It goes without saying that the belief in Nkadi Mpemba identical to the Satan of the Christian religion does not exist among the Bampandu. Another mysterious name is that of Mbamba. Dapper mentions this name when he speaks of the Kimbobamba of Longo. According to Father Bitramu in Mayombe, Mbamba Longo would be a powerful spirit hidden under the appearance of a large serpent and living by the water's edge. The Nkisi of Mbamba Longo seems to be the Debumba Dembumba, a mysterious small package abandoned by the ancients, containing a dirty lubongo smoke, brown in color with scales and herbs of all kinds. Among the Bakongo, Mbumba intervenes in many proverbs and ritual formulas. The exorcism of Nkizi often ends with these words: Elephant Mbumba, the origin of the Mbumba. What do you do, Ganda? All-powerful Mbumba curse of what are you going to do? B. Mumba kill. It seems that here the name Mbumba serves as an honorific title for all the spirits that inhabit these Nkizi. Before taking their food, the old Padans throw 3 pieces in different directions to honor the Bakulu. In doing so, they say, E Mbumba Nsi, Dia Unsi, Mono Idea Mbuzulu. O Mbumba of the earth, eat under the earth, and may I eat under the sky. Dia Mbumba Nsi is a formula of oath. While the black recites it, he rubs the earth on his left arm with his right hand. Mono Mbumba Luwango Idia Imana, adage which literally means, I am Mbumba Luwango, I eat, I leave no leftovers. It is said of a person receiving a dowry without giving their share to other relatives. When Nganga has healed a patient and puts back in the small bag the ingredients of his Nkizi, he says, Nud, Judah Kinganga, I Kanyula Mbumba, Sen Viendeum O, now pay me my salary, I tie Mbumba, and I leave. Here Mbumba means nothing other than the small bag that envelopes the Nkizi and its accessories. A comparative study of the Bakongo groups will be needed to shed light on the meaning of this word, Mbumba, and any, in truth, who made this sky that is here, and these stars and the sun and the moon. All these things are elusive, so Nzambi made them, for he himself is elusive and invisible. As for the Ndoki and Metubo, they have intelligence, but it is Nzambi who gave it to them. About men. Some proverbs. God made us with our nails and fingers equals God made us with our nails and fingers. He made us naked with the need to eat. God has shaped us with the need to eat. God has shaped us, living trees. Nzambi created the first human couple. In the beginning, the legend goes, Nzambi made a man and a woman. The woman's name is, who violates the prohibition. The man is called Yandosamau. This name varies according to the villages. From this first man, the woman gave birth to a child. Then Nzambi gave them a prohibition. If the child happens to die, do not bury him. Place him at the corner of the house and cover him with firewood. After 3 days he will resurrect. Men did not believe it. The child happened to die. They buried him. Then Nzambi came and said, I told you not to bury the child. You buried him. That is why all your descendants will be subject to illness. They will die, because of my prohibition that you violated. So if they had not buried this child, things would have happened differently. We would only die like the moon, and when we died, we would resurrect again. This legend is not a Kimpo, or ordinary legend, but Nkenda Ubambuda, a story of the ancients. All men descend from this first couple through generation, but Nzambi intervenes in the formation of each individual. It is Nzambi who shapes the fetus's body in the maternal womb and kneads the blood in which the soul resides. When the child is about to appear, the material soul enters through one of its ears. Then he truly lives and is born. If Nzambi had not covered us with a leaf, our skin, we would never be killed. If a child is born deformed, it's because Nzambi left us something to laugh about. The material soul is a thing of Nzambi. It comes from him when it enters the child's ear, and when the man dies, Mfu Mukutu Gulukiti, well ku Nzambi less than it goes back far away, to Nzambi. Man especially is under Nzambi's dependence. Some proverbs. We are all subjects of Nzambi. He made us, it is to him that we will go after death. Less than, Nzambi possesses us, he eats us. Which means that he does with us as he pleases, because they do not imagine at all that Nzambi eats men. When Nzambi fails or lets a man die, he lets him be eaten by sorcerers. It is Nzambi who prepares the cassava bread. We men, we only prepare the condiments. That is to say that Nzambi plays the principal role in all events, men having only a secondary role. Nzambi has control over life and death. An individual wants to plant a fruit tree. Another says to him, "What's the use of this work? We will die anyway. The tree will not give you any fruits." The planter replies, "I don't care if it doesn't produce before my death. What we eat, did we plant it? What remains, remains. But if Nzambi lets us live, we will eat these fruits." It's a common saying. If a Mukongo escapes danger, for example, if while clearing the forest he narrowly avoids a falling tree, he exclaims, "Nzambi spoke to me, otherwise I was dead." After an accident, the victim will say, "Today, Nzambi did not give me luck." Another usual proverb, "Death, there is no price for it. If Nzambi wants it, he takes it." When all the resources of the fetishists are exhausted to save a sick person, the parents say, "Perhaps we offended Nzambi. We have nothing left but to wait for what he will say." When Nzambi takes away life, he takes back what belongs to him. A mother will say to her child to encourage him to take care of her chickens. "Take care of them well, because one day Nzambi will take me, my thing. You will be left alone with my chickens." In funeral chants, it is constantly repeated, "He is gone. It's Nzambi's business." Here is a nice funeral stanza. "The big road, the road of thee is very sweet. Men dead, it's soft. They do not know who does it. He does it." In their resentment and sorrow, the Bekongo also sing this verse. God, 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 whether you are foolish or wise, you are, therefore you are with measure. This is one of the only injurious stanzas for Nzambi that I have ever encountered. However, one must exempt the literature of the secret society of Kimpasi, where all divine and human laws are shamelessly violated, and the fetish leaders arrogate to themselves the prerogatives of Nzambi himself. Generally, the Bekongo, especially the elders, have a profound respect for Nzambi. Sometimes they attribute mortality to the fact that the earth belongs to Nzambi. The following rhythmic chant strongly expresses Nzambi's sovereign domain. The old takes what he can from the young man, but above all things reigns Nzambi Mpumbu. We other men, if we only sin once, if we only draw wine from one palm tree, our needs are numerous and incessant. We have to resort to the spirits of the ancestors who eat with us, but she who will eat us, death, comes only once, it is thirst. This energetic chant encapsulates the entire philosophy of the Bekongo in shorthand. On earth, man with his ever-renewing needs to satisfy. Above him, Nzambi, the invisible sovereign master, unapproachable, has placed man here, and will one day take him away by death, which lurks everywhere, and takes him inexorably young or old. Against this sovereign Nzambi, there is no recourse. Nothing can be taken from him by force or cunning. However, there is another power superior to men, that of the ancestors, the clan's ancestors. It is generally favorable or can become so through sacrifices, libations, and prayers. If the ancestors remain decidedly hostile, there are the fetishes that Nzambi has given to men to render them harmless. The magical rites of the fetishists indeed have an effect on man, beasts, the ancestors' spirits, on everything, except Nzambi. If a Mukongo believes he has been wronged by an enemy, man or spirit, if his goat disappears, if his child suddenly falls ill, he goes to the fetishist who possesses the appropriate fetish. He explains his case and invariably concludes his exposition with the following formula. If this matter comes from Nzambi, it is good, I also want it so. But if it comes from the hands of men, I pursue it. The fetishist instructs his fetish, enchants it. To this end, he uses the following formula. May he die. He who has found this matter in his heart. May there not remain two in his clan. May there not remain three. You, fetish, go on. Pursue the author of this misdeed, whoever he may be, whether it is myself, whether it is a member of my clan. Whoever has been involved in this matter, go and fetch him, fetish, and take him with you. Whether it is a stranger who has made you boil with rage, who has entrusted you with his vengeance, even if you must perish there, then die with him. But if this matter comes from Nzambi, it is no longer a dispute for us, for we must all follow the path that Nzambi wants. Nzambi, who sovereignly directs the course of things, sees everything. As a formula of oath, the Bakongo say, raising their right hand to the sky, Nzambi sees me or else. Nzambi knows it, or even, Nzambi alone knows it. Truly, Nzambi has seen it, as I relate it. Saying this more solemn formula, they squat, strike the ground with the palm of their hand, and then raise it to the sky. When the first Jesuit missionaries arrived in Congo in 1548, they noted formulas and rites hardly different. They have a striking proverb. Kalunga is a house frame, meaning that nothing escapes his gaze. Kalunga replaces Nzambi in this saying. Among the Bambado, one hears the proverb, Kalunga is complete in heaven, he is complete on earth. Kalunga is everywhere in heaven and on earth. This proverb seems to have an Bantu Christian origin. On the other hand, the name Kalunga may have been a Bakongo name, for in former times, the Bakongo, in response to a call, had three equally polished formulas, Nzambi, Congo, and Kalunga, the name of the Supreme Being, the name of their eponymous ancestor, and this mysterious word Kalunga, especially in use among the tribes bordering the Ambundu and the meridional Bayaka. These latter use Kalunga as the name of the Supreme Being. This usage may be an indication for ethnologists. Nzambi is a legislator. He punishes transgressors of his laws. I once asked a very old pagan woman from a village inland, a woman less influenced by Europeans, the following question: but where do these customs of the country and these laws of the ancients, whose violation you say leads to all present miseries, come from? She replied without hesitation, the customs of the country, the old ones, those of the common ancestor, they left us. That's why everyone knows them. The one who taught them to them is Nzambi himself. To the same question, the old fetish leader, whom I mentioned above, replied, but all these laws that our elders left us, the real ones, come from Nzambi, for it is later that many customs from Stanley Pool and the land of the Bayaka were brought. The laws that Nzambi taught are sanctioned by him. Their violation constitutes a sin against Nzambi and entails punishments from Nzambi. Such is the defense of breaking a solemn oath. I say solemn oath because not all oaths are equally sacred. For an oath to be solemn, certain rites must be employed in addition to the formula. For example, in the one called Dadayaki Yanda, the husband, angry with his wife, says, the food prepared by you, I will no longer eat it. Then he squats, takes a handful of earth with his right hand, spreads it on the top of his head, touches the ground with it by deeply bowing. The wife says similar words and performs the same gestures. After a few days, domestic life becomes impossible. The union or the oath must be broken. If the second solution is preferred, an experienced fetishist is called in. He hears the case and condemns one party to pay the other the fine of a chicken. Then both parties sit face to face like tailors. The fetishist places 3 handfuls of earth on their legs, starting from the knees. Then with the back of his hand, he gradually removes the earth and lectures them. Guilty parties. This is called cleansing the oath. If one of the 2 parties had broken it without first cleansing it, they would have exposed themselves to the most terrible punishments from Nzambi. On the other hand, no fetishist can pardon a perjurer or absolve him of an immoral oath. One must appeal to the religious priestess, who possesses this special power. To someone suspected of perjury, the elders say, "Ah, you swear like this. One day your head will be made bald on the summit, meaning you will die miserably." A great law of Nzambi imposes respect for parents. If a young man lacks respect for them, a rare case, they keenly feel the offense. Furthermore, if one day, in a fit of anger, he insults them, perhaps his outraged parents will curse him. "I, your father," says the father, "by Nzambi Mpungu, who made you with your nails and your fingers, I tell you, you will wander, you will die." And the mother will exclaim, "Alas, die then. Let them crush you like they crush cassava. Let them shoot you in the head with lead. Let them chop off your head." Saying this, both will rub their hands on the top of their heads. Then they will drive away the wretched one who will die miserably pursued by Nzambi's vengeance. There is an even more terrible curse called to enchant the great crime. used by the black man against his son guilty of a very serious injury to father or mother. Well then, he will say with the same gesture, I, your father, by Nzambi Mpungo, who begot you, but go wander, for I curse you, and for that you will keep neither a goat, nor a pig, nor a chicken, nor a piece of silver. In the evening you will take your gun, go to the forest, well then, shoot, burn your powder. You will hit nothing, except the leaves of the trees. You will not speak a word that a chief, that a fetishist could hear. The son must flee. He will be abandoned by all, and pursued by Nzambi's vengeance. However, he may ask forgiveness from his father, who, if he is touched, will remove the great crime. Here's how. The son kneels before his father, then leans on his heels. The father takes the same position in front of them, puts a handful of earth on his knees, and with the backs of his hands juxtaposed, removes it, saying, What I say, what I remove, I speak from the top of my tongue, I do not speak from below. Then he spits on the ground. He repeats this ritual 3 times. The son then respectfully salutes, clapping his hands. Nzambi's vengeance will no longer pursue him. Nzambi also wants us to help our neighbor and forbids injustice. Anyone who refuses to let a thirsty stranger drink risks this threat. You are caught in sin, one day Nzambi will pursue you with his vengeance. The unsuspected wrongdoer, murderer, hut arsonist, field or livestock devastator has no rest. If he is on the road during a storm, he thinks, lightning will strike me. In the forest, he thinks, a tree will crush me. He does not dare say, like people with a light conscience, let the child of the man pass, so that the tree burdened with lianas falls behind him. In the darkness, the honest man, fearing the snake bite, recites to the criminal, he who killed his brother, aim for him, whoever he may be, so it suits him, as water suits the valley, and the storm suits the summit. Accidents caused by lightning, snake bites, or other causes are in the category of Nzambi's punishments. To an unbeliever who quarrels with his neighbors, damages crops or small livestock, the elders swiftly say, you only commit sins against Nzambi, you will not die well. At the announcement of a sudden death or a serious accident, the elders nod their heads, saying softly, Nzambi had seen it. As for immorality, 2 of its forms attract special punishments from Nzambi. Incest brings for the whole clan lightning-fast diseases, droughts, famines, and the sterility of women. Thus, the culprits were formerly burned alive as soon as the crime was discovered. Adultery is punished by Nzambi with a very special disease called kisa, which attacks both the guilty and their children, causes vomiting, swelling, and wasting away. Against this disease there is only one remedy, public confession. The guilty husband and his wife or wives, the guilty wife and her husband must submit to it, each group separately. When each in turn has confessed their infidelities or protested their innocence, this last case is not rare. The elder presiding over the ceremony exclaims, Oh, the disease of Kisa. The assistants respond in chorus, May it pass out of their bodies as the moon passes. The elder sprinkles them 3 times, then taking a cock, he cries, Disease therefore. The assistants respond, Leave. Then he kills the cock, which he distributes to the penitents. If a man falls back into his fault, the elders would give him this threatening advice. You commit these crimes against Nzambi, well then, you will die a miserable death, and where we go after our death, they will not want you. Nzambi punishes transgressors of his laws. The Bakongo never say that he rewards his faithful subjects. The unbelievers who violate Nzambi's prohibitions, the laws of the ancients, or the customs of the country and clan, are at their death excluded from the society of the ancestors. They are condemned to live as revenants. For their own misery and for the misery of the humans they never cease to harass. The good, on the contrary, who have well observed all the laws, pass at their death into the society of the good ancestors in villages located underground, where there is an abundance of women, game, and palm wine. This separation of the good and the bad is nowhere attributed to Nzambi. It is rather the work of the ancestors themselves, who refuse entry to the impious into their village. MIK8AEL Mesa Films SUBSQRIB for more videos like this. Like, Hain Entity, CONMENT,